Yeah, good afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of the People Progressing podcast. And today I have one of my ex-players again, and his name is Austyn Garcia. I'm so proud of Austyn. He's one of the up-and-coming business leaders in our community. Had a great college career as well. Just so proud of what he's done and what he's doing now, and we'll get into all of that. But Austyn, first I want to thank you for coming on. And then what I want you to do is just tell the listeners kind of your background, where you grew up, what you did as a kid, what you like to do in high school, and then kind of into your college days and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you probably know, and a lot of people in your network know, we share a lot of the same network, but I grew up in Highlands Ranch, not too far from where I live now, about 7 minutes away, actually. But I went to ThunderRidge High School. That's where you and I met. Played baseball for you for a few years there. Graduated from ThunderRidge in 2014 and continued my baseball career at CSU Pueblo. I was very fortunate to do that. I played for about 2.5 years for CSU. I got hurt in my junior year. I wasn't going pro at that point, so I decided that was about time for me to hang it up and just pursue my education and graduate in 4 years. That was really important to me. So I actually transferred from CSU Pueblo, where I studied marketing for 3 years. I transferred to CSU up in Fort Collins, and I graduated the summer of 2018 with a degree in economics. After that, I was introduced to the firm where I now work, Denver Wealth Management, by my proud mother. She was a client at the time, and they were looking to fill one of our summer internship roles. It is an analyst internship, but as a proud mom, she's like, oh my gosh, you have to meet my son, just graduated.
That's awesome.
I was not perfect for the internship. I had no background in finance. I couldn't answer some of the most basic questions that they had to ask, but they gave me the opportunity to take on a marketing internship. And at that point, Denver Wealth Management had no marketing department. They gave me 3 months and said, let's see what you can do. We just kind of want to dip our toes in the water, get some ideas. And in that interview, I asked, what are the odds that this turns into a full-time job? And they said about 10%. To be completely honest, they were transparent. And here we are 3 years later. So after that 3 months, they offered me the opportunity to stick around with the firm full-time as a marketing coordinator. And I absolutely knew that that's what I wanted to do. I love the culture, I love the company, and I love the people that I work with. So I took that role in January of 2019. I did that for a couple of years, and then I guess I continued to do it. But in October of last year, 2020, they came to me with the opportunity to pursue the investment advisor career path, to actually be a financial advisor. And I told you, at the very beginning, I had no background in finance, but in those 2 years, what I learned that our industry is all about relationships, maintaining, building relationships with people, and ultimately helping them see and address their long-term goals. And so I knew that that's something that I could do. I could help with relationships. I could help in sales. And so I accepted. It was going to be challenging, but I took my tests last year. Through this year, I finished up in June, and now I'm a licensed advisor. And so that's awesome. Where we're at now. Yeah.
So I'm going to go back. I love this story so far. We're going to get deeper into it. What drove you to take an internship at a financial business, not having a financial background? What made you take that risk? What pushed you over that edge to take that risk?
Well, shoot, if you see the view from our conference room, it is unbelievable. No, I'm just kidding. But what pushed me was the name Denver Wealth Management. To have that on a resume, that's a fantastic place to get your foot in the door at. Yeah. And I knew that if I got the opportunity to work there, then it would open up other doors for me. Being in the financial industry, backed by such a prestigious name, it just felt like the right thing to do at the point. And looking back, I can't tell you exactly what it was, but there was something that did draw me to that company. Again, conference room, then the whole culture, I guess. I get to wear a suit to work every day, and that's something that I wanted to do as a kid. And so working with Denver Wealth Management, I have that opportunity.
Yeah, but going into that, it had to be a little bit, I don't know if I want to use the term scary, but just a little, let's use the word intimidating, to go to work, to go in and do an internship at such a prestigious place like Denver Wealth Management, you had to push yourself through the door, right? I mean, you had to, any self-doubt that you had and all that stuff, how did you overcome any of that?
That's a good question. And I think at the time, I was so eager to get started. I talked about how I kind of hung up my baseball career, ready to graduate from school. And I knew that I was just ready to get out and start my career and start that next chapter of my life. And I know, looking back at it, I think there were a lot of challenges. Just being in the financial industry comes with challenges, compliance, regulation, legal challenges. As an intern, you don't want to mess up and fall under a lawsuit. That's probably one of the biggest concerns I had. You spell something wrong. We work with our clients and personal information all day, every day. So that was intimidating in itself. And then again, working with such a prestigious firm with people who are in the financial industry. But to be completely honest, when I met the partners, I met Zach and Blair, who have been just fantastic mentors to me throughout this process. But they started this firm, both young guys, and they were just the warmest, most welcoming people, the most supportive people at that time. And they were completely, they were just well communicated in that if I messed up, I had the backing and I had the support. And that's what the role was for at the time.
Yeah.
It was such an experimental role that it was expected that things wouldn't work and that I would fail. And so just kind of going into it with that mentality, I think a lot of the actual fear and nervousness and stress was removed from the table, and it was a lot more excitement and just eagerness. That's our culture.
So let's jump into that. Let's jump into because one of the roles that you have taken on too is the president of Toastmasters for the Denver Tech Center area. And so you are the actual president of the Toastmasters for that group, and your specialty within that group is leadership. And you just mentioned leadership with your two partners that started the firm that you're working at. Why is that so important to you?
For me specifically?
Yeah. Why is leadership the path that you're looking at?
I've always been infatuated by the idea of being a leader, but it did take me a really long time to identify that I myself could be a leader. I wanted to learn how to be a leader, of course, because if you look at high-level executives, business owners, these people are leaders. I was just talking about my mentors. You asked about them. They're leaders. And so I've always been intrigued by what does it take to be in that position? What does it take to be a leader? And that was me. And that was my initial draw, I think, to Toastmasters and to other various clubs. But since then, it's kind of transitioned and evolved to I can be a leader. I am a leader. I want to be a leader. I'm expected to be a leader. So how can I identify what type of leader I am, the style of leadership that I execute, and how does that impact other people? I guess as people continue to come underneath or work within our company, how can I help? And it's not even in our company; it's in my life as a whole, my family, my friends, people in these different clubs. How can I help people see those same opportunities and see that same personal growth, I guess, as a goal? And how can I help you achieve it or address that?
And I think that's huge, because I think that what you're talking about there is basically the common term of servant leadership. I know you, and your leadership style is based on helping others, serving others, helping others get to the point where they're at their potential and beyond. And I think that's what drives you. I want to go back to the partners of your firm who brought you in. It seems like they were a huge influence on you in terms of leadership. Can you describe their leadership? You mentioned culture. What do you think their biggest thing in culture for their company, for your company, is?
A lot of it comes down to them. Absolutely. They have a huge impact, but it also falls on everybody within the company. And then just the dynamic and the culture of how Denver Wealth Management is run. we are filled with independent drivers, people who see no ceiling for growth, people who want to continue to grow, both in their career, their books, helping other people. And I think the partners in hiring, I think they identify that type of person and bringing them in and how they'll collaborate with the team and fit in. But more than anything, and this is kind of what gels with me the most, is they lead by example. And so you see the amount of hard work that they've put into growing this firm. They talk about, when they started Denver Wealth Management back in 2012, they were both working 2 jobs just to get the company off the ground. And they don't work 2 jobs anymore, but they probably work more or in harder than they ever have. And so seeing that and watching what they do, we as a team feel like we can emulate that and we can follow them. So they lead from a similar style. I gave a whole presentation on it in Toastmasters last week, and it's called being a Pacesetter. And just as the name infers, you set the pace and people follow. And so it's a high intensity work environment. Is a lot of independence and being able to do things and have that drive to do those things. But it does come from the example that our leaders set.
And I think that's huge. And I'm going to dive deeper into this right now, because one of the things that you said really struck me. You have a bunch of growth-minded people in your firm. That basically everyone that's working in your firm is a growth-minded person. They want to get better. They want to grow. They want to learn. That is fueled by your 2 leaders. That is the culture that they have built. You said it from the start. They didn't care if you made mistakes because they knew you can learn from it. There are so many people out there, and I say this almost in every podcast that I've ever done, 70% of Americans are disengaged at work. And 85% of those 70 say it's because of the leadership they work for. So I want you to put yourself in this shoes right now. What if you would have gone into that internship and they weren't like that? They were put their thumb down on you, do it this way, don't make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you're going to get punished for it. We don't want you to think outside the box. Think the way we think the way we want to do it. What would that have done for your career?
Well, from a micro perspective, there's no way I would have succeeded in that internship. I wouldn't have gotten anything out of it just because there wasn't enough leash to fail and to succeed. But from a different, I would be gone. I wouldn't be at that firm. Just me personally, I can't, and most people are that way, and that you can't work under the microscope. It shows time after time, study after study, that people can't work under a micromanager. And like you said, that just spurs job dissatisfaction, people leaving. And that's a big part of, I think, why those 70% of people don't wake up just psyched out of their minds to go to their job like I get to, or I get to be in that mindset. And so if I went in with that culture, or if that culture was prevalent at our firm, I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't even be in this career. I wouldn't be an advisor. I'd probably be at a marketing agency, or who knows? I don't know what I'd be doing, but it wouldn't be there. And so everything from my career now and the growth over these past 3 years, the vast majority of it has to do with the leadership and the mentorship, the education that they've provided.
And how many, not number wise, but how many mistakes have you made over the years?
Plenty.
And how much did they step in to help you learn from those mistakes and not regret those mistakes, if that makes sense?
Oh my gosh, every time. It's not even so much them stepping in. They're there and they collaborate. That's the coolest thing. And that's one of the fun parts about being in marketing, is you get to do all these cool things where, as a business owners, I think from their perspective, they get to see their company grow within the community. And so they get fired up and they want to do all these new things. And so when you fail, it's not me failing by myself. It's us failing as a team. It's us failing as a collective. And so that's helped tremendously. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's not how can I do better or what did Austyn do wrong? It's how can we be better? How can we grow? We saw what happened here with XYZ, whatever initiative we took. Maybe we just don't do it anymore. Maybe we stop doing that. Or maybe we can change it to make it successful. So it's just that's the culture and the dynamic. It's not
Very
anything that one
powerful.
person does. It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Very powerful. And it makes you, you had mentioned something to me the other day when we talked, that you wake up every morning excited. Tell me why.
My job now as an advisor, and our job as a firm, and this kind of struck me last week. I was in a meeting with a prospective client, but you sit in these meetings with people, and our job is to help you address your goals. One of the core questions in these interviews with prospects is, what do you want to do? What does your life look like 10, 20, 30 years down the road? You talk to people about their dreams, about what they want. And that is the coolest thing. And that's my job. We get to talk to people about what their dreams are in life. And for a lot of people, we can show them that that's possible. With or without us, that's possible. And so it's incredible to wake up every morning with that mentality that, we're helping people. We're helping people on the financial side, giving them time and legs to grow, in their personal lives, to grow their family. And that's an incredible thing. So yeah, I wake up just absolutely thrilled. And a lot of it too goes back to my team. I love being around my team, seeing my team, being social, talking to people throughout the day. So just so many signs pointing to excitement. I love it.
And I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think that the leaders of your firm, it's Alex and
Zach and Blair,
I'm sorry, Zach and Blair, have the same mindset in how they treat their employees, that they want to help you address your goals as an employee and your career? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. And a resounding yes. Whether it's from an educational perspective, that's something that they encourage, is continuing education and growth. Whether it's taking certain courses or, I don't know, joining groups, being a part of the community. They are all about helping people, or helping our team grow. And that's both from an individual and career perspective. And, we've talked about, I don't know about the other employees, but I've certainly talked to them about my personal life. They check in, they make sure that I'm okay mentally and emotionally. Like I said, it's a very high intensity workplace. And sometimes it's asking. There are long hours, and we do a lot, not because you have to, but because you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And either way, that can be exhausting, that can be tiring, but they make it a point to check in. If you're, like last year, they checked in, they said, "Hey, Austyn, you've been a little bit quiet lately. Are you doing all right?" And so it's not even just from a career perspective, but from a personal and emotional perspective too, is that they truly care and want to make sure that people are doing all right.
It's a master class in leadership, because this is when you talk about, you said your goal in helping your clients is to help them address their goals for their life and so forth. But your leadership, Zach and Blair, does that for you on a daily basis. And that trickles down through you right into your customers. That's why they're successful. And it's amazing how you describe that. It's beautiful. And they look at, tell me if this isn't true, Zach and Blair look at everything they do as an opportunity instead of an obligation. And what I mean by that is, when your team makes a mistake, Zach and Blair look at that as an opportunity to learn and grow, and help you guys learn and grow, because their mindset is, again, helping you, their employee, address your goals, get to your goals. So they realize that you're going to make mistakes along the way, but they're to help you learn and grow from those mistakes and be better from them. And they don't get bitter from the mistakes you make. They get better as well. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think if you inspire and encourage people, you'll have a happier, but absolutely a more successful workplace.
It's amazing. And I bet you if we surveyed your company, your firm, that 70% mark would be, I don't even know, maybe zero.
Oh, I'm sure.
You
I
know,
mean,
and that
I
shows
have
you
to
how,
assume. I have to assume maybe they don't love it as much as I do. I'm thrilled, but I think everyone there is just happy. It's a
well,
family culture. It's
yeah,
great.
and it shows the leadership.
It
And
does.
I think that's the leadership that is more what we need to get out there, to be honest with you, for people to learn and grow from. Now let's dive back into you, president of the Toastmasters. Tell me what that involves.
Yeah, well, I'll give a little bit of a background on what Toastmasters is first for those who don't know. Toastmasters is a public speaking and professionalism club. It's a leadership club more than anything, but along the way, your goal is to improve your public speaking and communication skills. I've been a member of my club, the Tech Center Toasters, for about 3 years. I joined because, again, one of the partners, Blair, he was a member and he encouraged me to tag along and see what it was about. And I knew at that point in time, being in the financial industry is tough as a young person. You're you're working with this very affluent demographic, and it's hard to have the confidence to go into those meetings and speak to that group of people or to sell to that group of people. They've experienced more than I have. I'm 25 years old. So joining Toastmasters for me was a lot about how can I elevate my communication skills and just have more confidence when I approach those meetings and those conversations. And Toastmasters has helped me tremendously in that. I feel much more confident speaking in front of a group of people, but also speaking one-on-one. So I guess my history with Toastmasters, in 2009, I took on one of the roles. Someone fell out of an officer role, and I offered to fill in. It's the VP of Public Relations, and it's a lot more marketing, which is what I do on a day-to-day basis. So at that point in time, I was like, why not? Happy to help. And then last July, when we switched out, I offered to take on the president's role. Again, one of the partners, Blair, he was the outgoing president at that point in time. And I thought, I can do that. It also helps no one was running up against me. So it was an easy win in that election, in that race. But yeah, now, and that's where I'm at now. I'm the president of my club. More than anything, Toastmasters has helped me as a leader too. Helped me polish up my communication, my speaking skills, absolutely. But it's helped me to be more collaborative with other officers, with other members. And it's just made me a little bit more confident in assuming leadership roles.
So you're a young guy, and I want you to tell the listeners how important your continuous growth projection for yourself is.
In my career, or is it
Career
personal?
and life.
Okay. My goal, and I made this transparent at our firm, but my goal, I want to make partner at Denver Wealth Management one day. And I've been very communicative with, I don't know if that's a word, but I've communicated that with the partners, and they've been very open about that idea with not just me, but other people within the firm, I'm sure. So that's my goal. It's a very ambitious goal. 5 to 10 years would be great, but that's, it's great knowing, and again, going back to why I wake up excited every day, it's great knowing that could be an opportunity in my future. From a personal standpoint, I have no clue what the next 5 to 10 years looks like. We talk about my career progression in the past 3 years, and it's bounced around like a pinball in a pinball machine. I don't know what the next 5 to 10 years looks like, but I hope it's a lot more excitement, happiness, building and maintaining relationships, being there with my family, being there with my friends. That's really all I can ask for.
And I think the important part of what you're saying, and what I want people to really understand, is you said you bounced around your career like a pinball. How much have you learned from all of that?
Oh my gosh. So much. The amount of knowledge that I've absorbed in the past 3 years is more than the previous 20 years of my life, I'm sure. But I think my biggest takeaway in all of it is that the opportunities that have been presented to me have often come in the form of a challenge. So becoming a financial advisor was without a doubt one of the most challenging things that I've done in my life. Going through that, studying while still being, full-time marketing coordinator at Denver Wealth Management, being a member of all these clubs, and then studying in the meantime to take those exams. That was really, really hard. But that has been one of the biggest doors to open in my life thus far, and a big contributor to why I'm so excited and happy in my career right now. And the partners saw that. They saw it as a challenge, and they knew it'd be challenging, and we didn't know if it'd work out. Maybe I didn't like it and I'd fall back on marketing, but that's absolutely not the case. And so one of the biggest things that I've learned as my career has progressed and changed and transitioned these past 3 years is that every opportunity has been a challenge, and that's the way it's been presented. So the knowledge has come, but God, I wouldn't change a thing.
And I think the key, what I want people to understand about your journey here is you never backed down from the challenge, because the challenge was what, in your mind, a challenge is opportunity. A challenge is growth. A challenge is just what it is. I'm going to get this done. Where I think a lot of people, a challenge is, I'm scared. Challenge is fear. Challenge is, I can't do it. Challenge is all of those things, which prevents growth. Because even if you would have failed the financial industry tests that you were taking, you still were attacking a challenge. You were still learning. You were still growing from that. Now you didn't, you're on your way, but there was a possibility you could have, right? Yeah. So what I want you to tell people is what helps you, or what drives you to look for that next challenge in your life at 25 years old, to be a part of the Rotary Club, to be a part of the Toastmasters, to be a part of this firm that you're with, to get to study leadership, to learn as much as you can. All of those things are challenges for you. What drives you to do that?
Truthfully, a lot of it is restlessness, excuse me. I really struggle just being able to sit down and relax. That's tough. But besides that, what drives me, and this has changed a lot, and that's something that I'm very open with. I know that mental health has been a huge discussion this year, but it has also been very prevalent in my life. So I started seeing a therapist this year, and it wasn't because I was in a bad place. It was just because I knew that I could be in a better place if I just talked to somebody about certain things.
Yeah.
And you and I kind of touched on this before we started recording, but one thing that people don't really recognize in me, I don't think, is that I really struggle with confidence issues. I always have, through high school, through college, through my early career. And that didn't show because I had such an inflated ego through all of those years. And in working with my therapist and talking through some of my tics, some of the things that do drive me, because that's been a big part of it, is what drives Austyn? Why does Austyn have these emotions and feel certain ways? But what I recognize is, for most of my life, I was actually driven by doubt. When people doubted me, that's what drove me, is that I wanted to prove people wrong, and I wanted affirmation. And that seems fine. But what you realize is that you never succeed with that mentality, because people don't show up on your doorstep years later and say, hey, I was wrong about you to doubt you. That doesn't happen. People aren't going to reach out and write a letter and say, hey, I thought you were a knucklehead in high school, but shoot, you proved me wrong. Congrats. What I realized, though, and backing up again to that, I was really worried that if I got away from that mentality, I would lose that edge. I would lose that restlessness, that hustle, that momentum, that drive. That if I didn't have anyone to prove wrong, what was the point? But what I found in all of this, and this kind of goes back to leadership, that I found that there are a lot of people who are watching me, and I'll use my siblings, for example, because that's, I have very young siblings. Both are in high school. I'm watching my 13-year-old sister go through high school, and that's just been one of the toughest things that I've had to do. I was in high school, but oh my gosh, from a little girl's perspective, it's heartbreaking.
I can't believe she's that.
I
remember her. I remember.
I know. She's still my little sister, but she's a teenager now. But knowing that there are people who watch me every day, whether it's my family or my friends, that has just such a tremendous impact on me, and that momentum and that restlessness to keep going, because if I can show them that this is what you can achieve and the happiness that you can achieve, then I've been successful. And doing it that way rather than searching for affirmation, you have success every single day. Spending time with people, seeing other people try and strive and grow, it's every day, which is great.
I love it. And it's all based on, man, what a powerful thing you just was talking about, because it was based on, first, it was based on proving people wrong. So I would say that's more of a bitterness type of view, right? I'm mad at you because you doubted me and blah, 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 blah. And you've completely flipped that to a servant's point of view, that I'm going to do this so I can be a role model for someone else, so I can help someone else grow, so I can help someone else get better, so someone else can see what it takes to get to this point. And you became a servant. Not that you weren't a servant before, because I think you always were, but the total transformation there is just, the way you put that was unbelievable. People can learn so much from what you just said, because services, since the start of this podcast, we've been talking about, you like what you do because you help people reach their goals. That's serving. You like working at your firm because the people at your firm, their actions speak louder than their words, and they serve you all the time. They're there for you all the time. So that trickles down to you. You go into the Toastmasters because you want to get better, but you want to help others get better. You become the president of Toastmasters because you want to grow your group, because you know there's more people out there that need it and can help and can grow from it. You get involved with Rotary because Rotary is all about going out and serving others, ringing the bell at Christmas time, and some of those things that the Rotary Club does. It's all about you serving someone else, and it's all about you making someone else's life better. And that is making your life better. Would you say that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think when it's this whole mental shift, it's 100%. You all of a sudden, you have this momentum where if you're serving other people and you truly come from it at that perspective, it's more of this approach of hop on. If you're having trouble right now, climb on my back and we'll trek through it. And with that, you have this energy and this momentum that as challenges come up, it's kind of maybe simple physics in that the more momentum you have and the more strength that you have moving forward, it's so much easier to bust through these challenges and get through things. That these challenges that maybe were once big are now minor. And so a lot of it has to do with that momentum and that strength in serving people and helping people and just trying to be that leader.
Yeah. And even in your challenges, this is what's so cool about this. When you were faced with a challenge before, it was basically you went after that challenge to prove someone else wrong. Yeah. Now you're going after a challenge to show somebody else how to do it. You're showing somebody else they can do it too. So the mind shift is unbelievable, and you're doing an unbelievable job of showing people how to do it. And that's what I'm so proud of you about it. And I got goosebumps. I get into these podcasts because I just love talking to people about this stuff, but it's unbelievable how you even said it. And I want people to understand this too. Just because you're serving others and helping others grow and everything else does not mean that you have to put your own personal goals and aspirations aside. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. It all meshes together.
Yeah. And I think that's really important for people to understand. You had mentioned earlier, in 5 to 10 years, I want to be a partner in a firm. That's a personal goal and aspiration that you have. But along the way, to get to that point, you're going to grow as much as you can to get to that point. You're going to go after that in a way that you're still helping others, but you're growing all the time. How much growth have you gotten from just being in the Toastmasters?
Oh man, a lot. a lot in Toastmasters, and it's really hard for me to compartmentalize because my life, everything blends together. My profession, my career, my family, my friends, it's all under the umbrella of my life. And so to pick one thing out and say, you know, this is what's contributed to that, it's tough to do. But I will say that Toastmasters in itself, if anyone's considering just taking the first step towards growth in leadership or speaking or communication, Toastmasters is the way to go. I think it's like $57 biannually, $114 a year to be in this club. And you meet other professionals, you're just immersed in other people with this same mindset, but it is the most accepting, most vulnerable club that you'll be a part of. It is a very, very cool thing to be a part of. And so, yeah, Toastmasters has helped me tremendously and from such a small investment too. It's a lot. I think we meet every other week, so it's not even a huge investment of time. What you do on the back end, that's up to you. But for a small investment, I would say, generally speaking, Toastmasters has helped me tremendously.
And what is your goals, Austyn, with that? What's your goals in being a president of Toastmasters? What would you say your goal is?
My goal with being a president in my club was not for me. It wasn't my own personal goal. It was, I love our club. All the people that are in our club are incredible. You and I were talking about the folks that are in our club before this, and I'm passionate about all these people and our growth together as a whole, as a collective, growing Toastmasters, growing our group, helping other people see that same opportunity for growth. That's what I want to do. And so I want to help be a part of that.
Yeah, you're always about serving others. Okay, so you're making yourself better. You're growing. You're progressing by being the president, getting into Toastmasters in the first place, and then becoming the president. But you become the president because you felt that was a way that you could even help people even more. And everything, when you talk about your life is so intertwined, it's intertwined because it's all based on serving others. It's all based on making people feel good about the world. I mean, I've known you for a long time, and that's how you've always been. You've always made people around you better. You've always made people around you more happy. I can tell you that. You're one of the funniest kids I ever had. And just what you do for people is what's driving you. And that continual growth pattern, that's what I want people, especially, it doesn't matter what age you are. If you're 25, you're 45, you're 55, you're 65, growth has no finish line. And you're proof positive that. I think where people get in a rut in their careers, in their life, and all these other places, they get in a rut because they don't have a growth mindset. They don't want to challenge themselves. Tell me one more time, why do you like to challenge yourself?
Well, you can't stop. But if you conquer challenges, then from my perspective, other people can see that they can do it too. But, one thing that I grew up with, and it took me a really long time to realize that maybe not everybody grew up the same way. I grew up with a great life. I've had a fantastic life. My parents and my family have done everything for me to put me
awesome
in this position.
People.
They've supported me throughout my entire life. I give so much of this credit to who I am, to my family, being the biggest support. But one thing I think that they gave me that's immeasurable, I don't know the word, but it's just they always instilled in me that you can do whatever you want. It's that classic, you can do whatever you want in this life. In whether you want to be, I remember when I was a kid, I was going to be a professional baseball player. And then when I wasn't in the off season, I was going to be a doctor. And then in my spare time between being a professional athlete and being a doctor, I was going to be a commercial airline pilot. So you can kind of see that they instilled, that was actually, I think I took a step back and wanted to be a cowboy after that. Yeah. But they instilled that mindset in me that, do what you want, but you better be ready to work for it. You better be ready to figure out how to do it. And so when it comes to facing challenges and seeing them as opportunities, I've never really seen them as a barrier, more as a door and an entryway. And then if you want to do it, you can, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard, and you have to work harder than the next person.
I love it. This is awesome. So my book is called The 3 Ps, Finding Your Purpose, Perspective, and Passion. I ask all my guests on my show, these three questions. What is your purpose in life?
My purpose in life is just to continue to help others see and achieve the same opportunities that I've seen in my life, I think.
And what is your perspective on life, or what gives you perspective on life?
I'm very fortunate to live in the life that I do. And not a day goes by that I take that for granted. And so my perspective on life is I will appreciate and enjoy every single day that I wake up. Every day that I open my eyes, I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to do my best to be happy and make others happy as well.
And what is your passion in life? What do you love to do?
I love the people in my life, and my passion in life is to continue to meet new people, to establish new relationships, and more importantly, just build and maintain and nurture the relationships that I do have, my family, my friends, my coworkers. And that gets me really excited.
Okay, last question. And this is kind of I don't know if it's a deep question, but it's a question that I want young people to hear. I shouldn't say young people. I want all people to hear. What would you tell somebody coming out of college right now? Because I hear from people all the time that, young people coming out of college, they just expect to be the boss right away. They expect to get the promotion right away. They expect to get this right away. And they feel like they're entitled. I hear that constantly from people. I don't know if it's so much true. I'm just saying, well, that's what I hear. What would you tell young people coming out of college to kind of set them on the right path, if that makes sense?
Sure. And yeah, very introspective question, tough question to answer. But if I were to talk to someone coming out of college, I would echo that. I would say, be confident. Be confident in yourself, because you have a window, sure, but this is the time in your life to take a risk on yourself, take a chance on yourself. Find a job where you think you would be very happy and be very passionate, and start throwing your resume out. Give it a shot. While you're young, if you're 21, 22 years old and you mess up, assuming that you don't have any dependents or financial obligations at that point in your life, that's the time to do it. That's the time to really take a risk on you. The other part of it is learn as much as you can. Just never give up your curiosity. And that can be, for me personally, it's anything under the sun. I mean, I have books in on my nightstand that range from philosophy, psychology, to marketing, to finance, everything under the sun. If you have a curiosity, learn about it, and that'll help you succeed. That'll help you grow in whatever career it is, but more importantly, it'll help you grow as a person. So have confidence in yourself, take a shot, take a risk, and just continue to learn. Never put the book down. Always learn.
And that goes for anybody. I know I said young people coming out of college, what would you tell them? I would say what you just said to people goes for anybody. Never stop being curious. Never stop growing. Never stop learning. Never stop reading books. Never stop doing any of that. Never stop taking a risk on yourself. I think that's huge from somebody who's young and an up and coming young leader in our community, for people to understand. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can still have curiosity. You can still read books. You can still learn. You can still grow. You can still get better on a daily basis. And huge what you just said. I thank you for coming on, Austyn. This has been so much fun for me, to be honest with you, to have these conversations with you. You and I have been talking a lot lately, and it just makes me so proud of who you are and what you're doing for people. And I know you are an unbelievable role model for your sister and so forth. But you're a role model for a lot of people in your company, at Toastmasters, in all the clubs that you're in all those things. And just keep doing it. Just keep having fun with life, man. You're a proof positive that you can enjoy life and you can keep growing, and you get your joy out of life by growth, progression, and helping others. And I think that's beautiful. So thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast.
It has
On
been.
theme with everything else. Just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. So, guys, thank you so much for listening to the People Progressing podcast with Austyn Garcia today. Again, it just made my day. I can't stop smiling right now because I'm so proud of this kid. And it's not a kid anymore, but they're always kids to me. But if you want to get on my podcast and subscribe to it, share this podcast with others because it's so much to learn for people to listen to and learn from and so forth. And I appreciate you supporting us and have a great day. Thanks for joining us.